Good morning. In this video, I want to read from 1 Corinthians 5, which destroys the idea of Lordship Salvation, the idea that a Christian cannot live a lifestyle of sin and still be called a Christian. And the background of Corinthians is that these people were saved, but Corinth was a very degenerate city, much like many of our American cities, and they had associated sexual activity with religion. They had many temples in Corinth, and that the fornication was part of the worship ceremony. So here in case 1 Corinthians 5, there's a young man who's involved with incest with his father's wife, and the Corinthians are not even upset about that. And these are saved people. And Paul says here, it is reported commonly that there was a fornication among you, that such fornication as is not much as named among the Gentiles. Even the Gentiles reject that type of fornication of incest, that one should have his father's wife. And ye are puffed up. The Corinthians were actually bragging about this. This is a lifestyle. These are people in they were told, the Corinthian church here was actually boasting about how tolerant they were of these type of sins, and have not rather mourned, and he that had done this deed may be taken away from among you. Now what Paul does is turn that man over unto Satan for the sin unto death, and that man repents of that sin and gets back into fellowship, and that's what 2 Corinthians 3 deals with. The Corinthians were told to bring him back into fellowship, so the burden wouldn't be too hard on him. But look at the verse 9. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators. Okay. Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters. Then must ye needs go out of the world. We deal with the unbelievers. That's what they do. We deal with sinners, and that's how they live. But here Paul is saying about Christians. But now I've written unto you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such and one know not to eat. For what have I had to do to judge them also that are without? Do not ye judge them all within, but them that are without God judgeth. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person. Talking about the man involved in incest. The point there in verse 9 talks about what Christians are capable of doing. He says these are people who call a brother, and they're involved in these type of sins. The church has a certain responsibility to remove these people from your fellowship, who are involved in these things as a lifestyle. They're involved in these type of sins, but that doesn't mean they're not saved. The idea was to remove them as from fellowship, so you don't get corrupted, not to corrupt the other people in the church, and to show the world, the outside world, that we don't accept this type of lifestyle. But this lifestyle, when a person's in sin, the Christian is in sin, that's how he appeals to the world. He appears just like the world does, as a fornicator, as an adulterer, as an extortioner, as a railer, as a thief, as a liar, because that's his sin nature. And so the Christian appears that way and lives that way as a lifestyle, as a homosexual, any other type of perversion, incest. That's what they do. And what is the church supposed to do? Is supposed to renounce that sin and deal with that individual and remove him from the church, not to celebrate it or tolerate it. But that doesn't mean that individual is not considered to be saved. He's considered to be a person in apostasy and living an apostate lifestyle that the church will not accept. But Lordship Salvation would say that these people are not saved, but in fact, Paul makes it very clear that they are. Amen. Thank you.